Um, Today's Bushcraft A to Z is um, is a fun one. So I don't know if you recognize this yet, but um, this is being filmed in May 11th, and I'm in the Middle Georgia area. Um, what that tells you is that there should be absolutely no reason for me to wear this. But that's today's subject. Bushcraft A to Z. L is our letter. L. Layering. So one of the cool things of when it gets colder is um, you will want to put on this one jacket that does all the work. It's easier to get on and off. And doesn't require, like, you don't bring extra stuff. It keeps life simple. Anyway, this keeping of life and its simplicity are important. But what's more important is the ability to keep your life. Sometimes that requires doing more than you want to. So I will say this. I will say that uh, if you've got if you have everything set up the way you need to set it up, then when it gets cold, and I know this is in the middle of May. Excuse me a minute. All right, there we go. All right, so this is in the middle of May, so this is kind of off timing, but not off subject because seasons come and go. This is specific information. So we've already done heat stroke and heat exhaustion. That's the one for the season we're building up to. But this one is for the season on the opposite side, winter. So today's letter is L. So it's gonna be funny. It's not working. And I'm not done. Today we're layering. Where'd everybody go? All right. There you go. That's where my pens are too. Put those up and away, and all of a sudden I find stuff that I've been looking for. Layering is an important thing in the wintertime. Wherever you go, think about this. Have you ever wondered why the desert people wore so much clothes? Think about historically speaking. Big giant turbans, flowy fabrics, but lots of them. They were layering, but they were layering wide. So using the idea of dead air spaces and the idea of capturing them to reduce the speed at which temperature transfers. That's the reason for it. So let's give you an example. This fabric here, this outer layer, it's a very hard, tightly woven fabric, tightly spun fabric. It's going to protect you from branches and things like that. It also has some insulation, but not a whole lot. This inner layer only has insulation. I mean, the outside's a little bit rougher than the inside, but not by a whole lot. And this is insulation. But this mostly wicks away the moisture that you would build up. This middle layer, though, I might not be able to keep this on for very long, is the actual insulative layer. They all have variations of insulation ratings, but this center one is the most insulative of the layers. So you want at least 3 layers. Most times the base layer, the mid layer, the outer layer. Most times the base layer is actually the shirt that you're wearing. So I could technically just have the one jacket and the vest. This right here being a 3-layer system. Right here. And I wear this all the time in the wintertime. But the other layers is beneficial as well. This one's got the most insulation, but it's also tightly woven, like the previous one. What this does, oh, that's interesting. I apologize, everyone. I need to charge my item. Up. Get in there. Okay, cool. The value and wonder of lives and not being as prepared as I need to be. I keep thinking I'm not have anything on the docket, and then I have something on the docket. I was expecting Facebook and their event scheduling to remind me. Didn't happen. So I've got it on my main calendar now, and it's going to hit me at 1 o'clock every day, technically at 12:40, so that I can prepare. One of these days I'm going to get it right. But if I quit, I guarantee to get it wrong. If I quit, I guarantee it'll never be right. Let's put that aside for a second. All right, so layering in the wintertime. If you're going out in the woods, you're doing bushcrafting and other things like that, this is actually something I've got to do as well. Bring this up and look at myself, because I don't have, there it is, view channel. I don't have the ability to look at any comments, and I do apologize. Here we go. Let me hit live. Pow. All right. Good afternoon, Jared. Good to see you. I thought that might be you. I can see numbers of people watching and likes and stuff. I do appreciate it every time. It helps, keeps me, on track, even as off track as I am. It helps keeps me on track, so I do appreciate it. Today is layering. Layering. We got M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z left. We're coming close to the halfway. Which one is the halfway mark? We've got 23 letters, something like that. Coming close to halfway. That's a good idea. That's a good thing. Halfway there is halfway there. Can't stop then. Can't stop anytime. All right, today's Bushcraft A to Z is layering. We're on L right now. 26. Thank you. And what is it? 13 then. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M. Wow. You got it. Never good at math, vaguely good at English. Um, if I decided to focus on those skills, I'd get better at them, because what you focus on, you get better at, no matter what. So we are coming on the middle not letter. And that's good. That's good. So to recap, we are talking about layering, and we keep the house actually pretty doggone cold. So I would probably be able to keep these jacket on for a little while. You want layers, because when you go out in the camping, and let's say you're chopping wood, or you're making camp, putting up the campsite, whether you are pitching tent, pitching tarps and hammocks, or actually building your shelter from the land, regardless of what you're doing, you're burning calories, and you could easily be sweating. If this does too good of a job, you will sweat. If it doesn't do good enough of a wicking to wick that sweat away from your body, then when you take this off to go into your sleep at night or whatnot, the wetness will still be on your skin. Your skin will still be moist. And the purpose of sweat is to cool you down. So if you work up a sweat, and then in the middle of winter, take off your jacket to get in your sleeping bag, you're going to freeze to death, just because you had the right equipment. Odd as that is, you had the perfect equipment for the day, but you didn't use it right. So wicking layer, this one or this one, a middle layer, and then an outer layer, all of them designed with insulation in mind. And you got to think about it from this point of view as well. Any pocket of air is a point of insulation. I've known people to use bubble wrap as ground, like underlayment under their bed, so they won't. It's a ground. What is it? Tarp footprint, tent, mat, sleeping bag. Well, between mat and tent floor, they would put, or between mat and sleeping bag, they put bubble wrap, like the big bubbles or the little bubbles, don't matter. And that's another layer of insulation, that because of the air bubbles. Anyway, in between are also layers of air. And so one of the cool things about that is, like, even if I had the other jacket on, the big jacket, that would create another layer of bubble of air in between this layer and it, along with its insulative properties. You can get really, really, really hot. And the idea is, if you feel yourself beginning to sweat a little bit, getting a little bit of an overheat, you delayer, right? It's the versatility of the system, of the base layer, the mid layer, and the outer layer. Is, if it's, you look around, okay, the weather's pretty good, actually, it's not so bad, so you can take off this outer layer that might have like a waterproofing on it, right? It's not gonna rain, I can tell. And if it looks like it might rain, I can put my jacket back on real quick. Good. Take the jacket off, breeze it out a little bit, get that moisture from the inside, take it out. That's a survival technique. I saw a video, it was on YouTube, and I always point back to it, of how efficient natural materials are. This guy, he's a military guy, and what he did is he tested, and he came up with the conclusion that bushcraft materials were inferior from his mindset. And his mindset makes sense because of the orientation of his channel and stuff like that. It was all military oriented. So it made sense. But for everyone else who's not actually in the military, who doesn't really expect to see combat, the test proved bushcraft materials better. So what he did was he got USMC cold weather gear, like Arctic cold weather gear, not deep Arctic, probably. I don't. It didn't look like it was very deep Arctic, but he got that cold weather gear from the USMC, and then he got bushcraft typical gear, which was like a anorak, a waterproof anorak, and underneath that was another anorak, but it was made of wool, and beneath that it was a cotton anorak. So 3 anoraks, and pants as well. And what he did was, how he tested it was, he went into the woods in snowy conditions, extreme cold weather, and did a military workout, a basic military workout. And so what he did that. He tested the weather, put it all the details and all of the data and the things you measure, that you can measure for that kind of a thing. He put his workout down, went another day, did the same thing with the USMC, and same kind of weather and things like that. And he overheated in the bushcraft gear. And like I said, I point to that going, in a bushcraft situation, you're not doing a workout. You may be getting a workout, but if you need to, you delayer and relayer as needed. And he didn't do that. Kept all his gear on. And so the military gear, he didn't sweat. He didn't overheat or sweat or anything like that. It kept him at a regular temperature. He was working out. And in a combat situation, that's actually kind of perfect. You don't want you don't want to have to battle the body's need to stay regulated in temperature while you're battling other things trying to kill you. So that's important. So it absolutely lost in the combat-oriented mindset, but it absolutely won in the bushcraft-oriented mindset, because after you make camp, you're making dinner. And you may be making dinner, and then after you make dinner and you're eating dinner, you're sitting down. You're relaxing. Nature does that. There's something called the 3-day rule. So and it's more intense the further away from civilization you get. But the 3-day rule is basically you spend 3 days in the woods. On the 3rd day, or maybe after the 3rd day, let's say after the 3rd day. Let's stay longer. After the 3rd day in the woods, your mind changes. You literally, it's been measured. The synapse in your brain fires differently. And like I said, the further you go, the more intense that firing shift is. So you can go to like your local park, and not city park, but like a place you can go camping, a camping park, and camp there for 3 days. On the 4th day, you're like, this is good. And the brain actually finally acclimates to that new environment and says, okay, this is the new environment. This is it now. And you relax in a way that I don't know is replicatable at any spa anywhere. So test it out if you want. Let me know how that goes. Go to a spa and do that for 3 days, and then go. That's expensive. Anyway, moving on to our concept side of things. our concept side, I actually had versatility wrote down because this is a very versatile setup. When you have multiple different actual pieces of clothing to help you with different things, I can take the black jacket off and put only the vest on. I can keep the black jacket on and take the vest off. I can keep the black jacket on and then put on the other jacket, the brown one. Everything. It's you can just like change it up as needed. So it's versatile. And so I originally had that down there, and the orientation I was going to with that one is something I'm focusing on now is archetypes. So Carl Jung, a guy I like to pay attention to, he's passed already because he made a lifetime of change for this world, and a lot of people don't really take advantage of that knowledge. But he came up with this idea. He was a psychologist. He came up with this idea of the archetypes, where the ruler and the jester and the mage and the healer and all of these people um, these common descriptions of behavior and thinking styles of specific titles. So the knight, for example, and what they want out of life, what makes them what, if they get it, makes them happy, real joyous inside. So the healer wants to see people who are broken so they can heal them, like make them a better, stronger person. The teacher who gets a jolt of spiritual energy from seeing the light bulb go off in their students' eyes. That aha moment, things like that. So let me bring this back around. So understanding the archetypes, the common approach is to like take a little test and be like, okay, which one is you? Which one is your archetype? And I kind of want to challenge that concept. I don't think we are an archetype. I think we may or may not be within an archetype at different times in our lives. And I think that we may be in a different one at a different time of our lives. And I think we may jump from one to the next in a day, or 3 in a day, or 4 in a day. I think archetypes are groups of skill sets that make that type of person in that type of role successful. So if you bring the leader out in you, then you can bring people, you garner respect, people, something needs to be done, they look to you, right? Something that to be able to organize it and group of people together and have them follow a direction to go. You on another, same guy, the leader, let's say a leader of an army, a general, he's also a knight because his mentality is soldieristic. I think I may have created a word, soldieristic. So he wants to protect his people. But then he may be an older general, and a younger soldier comes up to him for advice and becomes a teacher. All modern soldiers need to know basic first aid and be a healer. So, yes, each unit has a medic, but every single soldier has an IFAK, individual first aid kit. IFAK, individual first aid kit. Every soldier has one. So in case the medic isn't around, he could dig out of his own kit. If the medic is around, the medic's kit is used up, he can use the other soldiers. So it's multiple levels of degree. So let me go to versatility in the mindset of maybe if you can. So go ahead, like take the test or learn more about the archetypes. I think there's 12, but there's different variations. Some are 7. If you go to the Grim Hustle people, the Russian guy looks like a mafia boss. He's got 7, but it's just the archetype is a general term for the typical of. So the typical leader, the typical king, the ruler, queen, the typical knight or soldier. What are those qualities? So if you think about it, in fact, there was a guy, Dan Millman. He's got a whole bunch of books out now. He used to be a trampoline Olympian. But Dan Millman, he went into the self-help book realm. And so he wrote a bunch of books on self-help. Way of the Peaceful Warrior is one of them. Sacred Journey of the Peaceful Warrior, second one. But you get the one. He would also do like classes where they would teach some of the concepts. And one of the things he did was he taught a martial arts class or a self-defense class. And he had this, one of the stories was he had this one guy who could never really tap into the fire within, the anger or aggression or any of that stuff that he would need to do, he would need to have in order to protect himself. He what it was, I mean, if you look back in it, it was just he didn't do enough dark work. He didn't believe in dark work, and there were things in his subconscious that were latent, and he needed to suss them out. Anyway, one of the things Dan Millman said is like, they had a conversation. He's like, I just can't do it. And Dan was like, well, can Bruce Lee do it? So of course Bruce Lee can do it. Bruce Lee's Bruce Lee. He said, okay, become Bruce Lee. And he said, from that moment, it took him like a moment to like internalize that, what he said. And then from then on, he's like, whoa, doing crazy stuff. But he was having fun. He was bringing out the aggression that he needed to bring out to be able to get to that point of self-defense mastery, not mastery, capability, competency. And all it was he tapped into an archetype. It just so happened to have an actual specific name. But if you think about that from that point of view, then what can't you do? Do we not have enough archetypes of successful people in this world? Like, just pick people. Pick successful people in the realms of that you want to be successful in, and let them be your archetype. Maybe not all of the things, like suss out the specifics. Don't get your coffee like he gets his coffee, because that's not the thing. You get your coffee how you get your coffee, but do something that makes you think in the way that would be him thinking, because it's the thought process that creates the body making it happen. I did a post today. It's gotten quite popular. I did a post. I got the G.I. Joe, and there's another picture that I found that was, the Thinker, the statue of the Thinker. So it's this guy doing this, right? It's very, very common, somewhat popular statue. I think it was Michelangelo that chiseled him out. I'm not sure. But there's the Thinker. And the picture was the Thinker off to the side a little bit, and then off to the other side, it was like a split picture, was an empty pedestal, because like the Thinker's on a square block. So that's the thing that he's on. He's standing on the square block. The other square block says the Doer. and it's empty and there's footsteps trailing off. And so the first picture I had was uh, G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle, and then doing is the other half. So, um, you know, uh, this is Bushcraft A to Z, and I'm glad you're watching. I'm really happy that you're taking your time out of your day, out of your life to spend life energy on me. I appreciate that. Learn what this is teaching you about layers and about, okay, I got to take this off now. I'm getting warm. Um, so learn this about layers so that next time winter comes around, you'll be more well prepared. Um, but between now and then, do the actions. Find the versatility of mindset. Become flexible with your mind and who you think you are. Because I guarantee you, who you think you are and who you are. It's just the person you've told yourself you are. It's not really the you. That thing's the mask. The real you is behind it. Your soul, your spirit. Um, Becoming mentally versatile helps you realize that the way you think and the way you act in this world aren't really you. So that's the deeper understanding there. That's not you. It doesn't have to be. Um, Things like imposter syndrome that people struggle with sometimes, I recognize that's me fighting my mask. And my mask says I am an imposter and that I should not have anything value to say, or that, not that I don't have any value. Of course, I think I have value to say, but that others would find the things I say valuable enough to actually listen. So, um, anyone who does, I appreciate it. Yes, I do look at the numbers. I get on YouTube and I look at look at. Can't tell who's watching or who looked, but you can tell numbers. And this Bushcraft A to Z series is getting some numbers, so I'm gonna keep doing them because that's what gets out there. Um, I will say this much little bit, and then I'll wrap it up. But in my martial art, there is a stigma against what we call McDojos. So a McDojo, MCDOJO, is pull up to window 1, pay your money, pull up to window 2, get punched in the face and taught it, here's the paperwork for the technique, pull up to window number 3, here's your certificate, peace out, see you later. And there are dojos out there that are kind of like that. There's people in my martial art in Japan who give rank out like candy. And though that there are reasons for it, there are reasons to do that, because if someone's there and he's like, hey, when can I get my next rank? When can I get my next rank? When can I get away, kid? You're bothering me. Here's your rank. Go. Let the people who want to train. I get that. But and there's a lot of people that look at distance learning, a physical martial art. Some people look at that and go, that's a McDojo thing. And I want to say it can be. I did not know that. I have dropped off from watching his Kuden. And so I literally did not know that. I might have to look back into that. Because he's one of the reasons inspiring me to do this here. do this Bushcraft A to Z. Um, but he's doing much more than I could possibly think about doing. He's doing Kuden, live training, live Kuden on Mondays, live training and live video call on Tuesdays. Wednesdays is his um, Warriors Whiteboard Wednesday. I think he takes Thursday off, but I'm not sure. Like he does something with Thursday. And then Fridays is another class, another online class. Not to mention regular, ninja camps. I think they just wrapped up the spring ninja camp up there. So he does like that twice a year. He does a Daikomyo-sai. One of these days, when I get past myself, I'll actually do what I can to bring him down to Georgia and have a seminar there. Yes, last weekend. So it's a and I've been to one of his ninja camps before. I think it was a spring, and it was pretty good. It was really good. I've been to Daikomyo-sais ever since, though. I like it because so let me change it one more time. So if you look at this, Shikin, Harimitsu, and then the big part, I want to big time. Daikomyo means great bright light. And a Daikomyo-sai means seminar of the great bright light. So usually it's more in depth, more ding, more of those things happen as I've experienced them. But anyway, so let's round this out and go back to our versatile thinking. If we can get away from the idea and detach from the thought process, from the idea that we are what we think. How can there be a soul if we stop thinking at death and we think that we are what we think? If we are what we think and we stop thinking at death, then we're gone. We can talk about humans fear death, and so we want to think there's something beyond that. That's not my point. My point is, when you discover that you aren't what your thoughts are, you start wondering what really is the thing driving this meat vehicle. It's the brain that connects the body's doing of things, but what if there was an antenna inside the brain that received signals? I don't know. This is a big what if thing. What if, not what if. Sounded wrong. I'm tangenting again. I must be tired. Thank you for your patience, for letting me ramble for just a little bit. We've got a contest going on. I haven't even talked about it yet. So we've got a contest for some Band-Aids. So if you're looking for some Band-Aids, we've got a contest for that. It's also actually for 2 knives. It's a carving set. I brought it out in one of my previous ones. I think it was the iodine one or the heat stroke one. But I brought it out and opened it up to show everybody. It was a carving knife and a spoon knife. So a smaller version of this big guy. So this is a Tuca cam. This is actually designed for cups and small bowls, but it's a smaller version of that. Anyway, and a strop, to keep things sharp and things like that. So this is the contest. This is the prize of the contest, not just the Band-Aids. And the contest consists of, you got to work for it. If you can label the letter, the next letter. So the next letter is M. The next letter is real difficult. It's going to be a real difficult one. The previous ones were going to be have been real easy. K for knots, C for carving, E for edible plants. Come on, it's F for fire. Those are pretty easy. But this next one I think is going to be a more difficult one. But it speaks to survivability and the difference between bushcraft, campcraft, woodsmanship, and survival. Wilderness survival. It speaks to the difference between all of them, and what the values of each one are. In the Woodland Warrior Protector Program, we have a woodland side that is a part of the actual ranking structure that includes what I call woodsmanship. It's not bushcraft, it's not campcraft, it might be a little bit more campcraft, and it's not survival, but they are skill like these. They have skills that cross between all of them. Anyway, that's our contest. Put in the comments or in the chat. In fact, I would prefer you. 2 is 1 and 1 is none is the concept of your gear from Dave Canterbury. He initiated the five C's of survivability and the 10 C's of survivability, and he also started saying the phrase 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So always have a backup. That being said, if you've got a choice, put it in the chat and put it in the comment box. That way, no matter what, I'll be able to get to it. What your guess is. M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T. So you can go down the line. Not each video, if you don't want to, but one choice per. So you got to choose. Like so. Let's say you can go right now and in the comment box go, M is this, N is this, O is this, P is this, Q is this. And I'll say, okay, cool. But if you do it again, if like down in R, you put R is this up in M, but down in R you say, well, R is this. I'm gonna ask you which one it is because you can only have one. Anyway. Nope, I'm not answering. Could be. But anyway, what I'm saying is you can guess multiple times, but you only get one guess per letter. Anyway, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z are next, and we currently have our resident wizard in the top number, and I challenge you to, whoever's listening to this, see if you can knock him down. See if you can get up high. You don't mind me calling you Resident Wizard, do you? Just makes sense. Okay, let me know if you do, and I'll stop. Anyway, that's it. We've done our thing. Okay, cool. Our Warlock. Golly, I always get them mixed up. I know they're different. All right, buddy. All right, guys. What do I always say? What is it do I always say? Get lost, but never lose your way.